Let's continue by looking at management information systems. Now, management information systems are typically those systems where we need to integrate people, procedures, databases, and various devices. And these types of systems are typically found in your organizations and to aid your managers and decision makers with necessary information to help them to come to appropriate decisions and ultimately to achieve the goals of the organization. We need to realize that by having a management information system in place, it can actually aid the organization in achieving a competitive advantage. Now, what is the purpose of management information systems? As indicated, management information systems aim to assist organizations in achieving their goals by providing them insight into the operations of that particular company. So, how many products are we selling? Which products are giving us a better return? Which of our salespeople are selling more products, etc. And then ultimately, it's also there to provide the right information to the right people at the right time. Now, if we think about business transactions, these can typically enter our organization through various means. For example, we can get it through intranets, we can get it through our intra and extranets, or we can get it through our traditional techniques and processes. Now let's continue to look at a typical example of a management information system. Now originally this might look very complicated, but it's actually not that bad. So we're going to start off by having our management information system, and it's important to realize that we've got various databases that will contribute to our management information system, and then our system will actually provide information to additional databases. For example, we can get our data from other corporate databases or other external data, or we can get our data from external databases. We also need to realize that we can get our data from our lower layers, if you think about the pyramid that we did in topic 1. For example, information that comes through our supply chain and all our various business transactions. These will be sent to our ERP and TPS systems, which will be recorded in our operational databases. From there, the valid transactions will be recorded into a new database, and then any inputs or errors will be recorded, and then people will be allowed to go and fix those inputs or errors. So we typically find that information, our general daily information, would come from here. We will save it into our TPS ERP systems, which will be linked to our operational databases. If there's mistakes, we're going to fix the mistakes. All the valid information goes into a database, and that source is one of our sources for our management information systems. Now on the output side, MIS systems typically allows us to go and generate these types of reports, and we're going to look at it in the next few slides. For example, it's important that we can have drill down reports, exception reports, demand reports, key indicator reports, as well as scheduled reports. And we're going to look at the function and the purpose of each. Now from our management information system, we've indicated that it can go to various application databases, which can feed information into our extranet that will assist our employees. It can also feed information to our extranets, which will support our suppliers and various other stakeholders. But it can also support various other systems, which we're going to look at in the next few sections. For example, decision support systems, executive support systems, as well as group support systems, as well as various other specialized information systems. Now let's just look at some more details regarding the different processes that's involved. When we talk about the inputs to our management information system, we need to realize that we can either get information internally or externally. Internally, it's going to come from our ERP and TPS systems, as well as various other databases. It might also come from data warehouses and data marts. And a lot of the data might be specific to functional areas within our organization. On the external side, our customers, suppliers, competitors, and stockholders can also supply us with information. Now this would typically be information that's not generally captured within our TPS and ERP systems. And also what we find nowadays is that a lot of information might be provided by third parties or perhaps through the internet. So somebody else might provide you with access to information. Now let's look at some of the outputs to an MIS system. Now as indicated, we typically find various reports in these systems, and it's important that you realize what the different reports are. Now, some of the systems also generate dashboards. Now, if you look at a dashboard is just a visual representation of our information. Now, typically, if we look at the outputs of MIS systems, it's for your higher level managers. So they don't want to be bombarded with a lot of information. So they would typically like to go see a dashboard and to just get a quick overview of what's happening and what's the status of our company. Alternatively, you might have various reports. For example, if we look at the reports, we might have a scheduled report. Now these reports are produced periodically or at any given schedule. So you can perhaps go and say, at the end of the week, we want all the sales information for a particular division. So that would be a scheduled report. It's a known report that will be generated every week. Alternatively, we might have key indicator reports. Now, key indicator reports are typically those reports that summarize the activities of the previous day, and that's available at the beginning of the next day. For example, we want to know what happened yesterday, how many products did we sell, what is the status of information, our system, our company, our employees, all of that information. The third type of report is a demand report. Now, demand reports are generally created by somebody requesting a special report. Your boss comes to you and they tell you, I want to see who's the best performing salesperson in our unit. So it's an on-demand report. It's not something that occurs at regular intervals, and you generally need to go and generate that report. Exception reports are those that are automatically produced when we have unusual situations or where the management action would be required. For example, as soon as we realize that a certain product is not selling or we're running very low on a certain product, the system can automatically send us a report informing us that we need to look at the situation because it can cause problems in the near future. The last report that we need to look at is known as our drill down reports. Now these reports allows us to get more detailed information about particular situations. So again, we can go and say we want to see a list of all the salespeople with their sales data, but we also want to go and see which products they are selling and which areas are more popular in which they're operating. So it's going to be more detailed. Now let's continue and look at the characteristics of management information systems. Now typically we would find that these systems follow a specific number of functions. For example, it would provide you with fixed or standard reports. It's going to provide you with either a hard copy or a soft copy of all your reports. It's going to use the internal data that we have in our computer system. It's going to allow customers or users to go and develop custom reports. And then it will also facilitate that reports can be requested and that these will be developed by our systems personnel. Now, if we look at the functional aspects of management information systems, we do find them in all aspects of our company. So you would find it in finance, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and various other areas. And then a lot of these systems can actually be further divided to solve some of the issues or the requirements for each one of those individual units. For example, if we look at the following image, we would have our typical management information system, which is a simplified one that we had before, but now we can go and further subdivide it for the individual units, and then each of these units can then use their own data, but they can also go and generate their own types of reports which are more specific to their requirements. The last section that we need to look at for this particular section is actually various other management information systems. Now we're only going to look at one of the most popular ones, known as GIS or Geographic information systems. Now, GIS systems are capable of storing, manipulating and displaying various levels of geographic information. So typically what we would find is we would have a map, and then on top of the map a lot of information is portrayed. For example, we can get elevation information, land usage, in this case parcel information, streets, etc. So where do we find examples of GIS systems? Usually after elections, the IEC would go and they would display the election results based on different regions. So they would show you a map of the country, show you the regions, and then show you the best candidates, or the selected or voted for candidates in each one of these regions. So there's various layers of information. So typically we have our map at the bottom, and then depending on the application of the information, you're going to have additional information that's provided. In our next section, we're going to look at decision support systems.